the title of the album is V because it obviously kind of like turned into a whole thing because it started with the triple V,
Yeah.
which is 555.
Yeah.
But what is life without love?
Right.
Is kind of the point of the whole title of the album.
I think Doja Cat is one of, if not the pop star of her generation. There is nothing Doja Cat cannot do. She sings, she can, will, and does out-rap most of your faves. She dances her ass off, and that bitch is an artist who not only puts her back into every project, she makes every project an era, and she embodies that era. And not only the album, but in every performance, look, and interview she does in relation to it. You do not get the same Doja on any project. The Doja from Go to Town is not the Doja that made Moo go viral. Moo's Doja is not the Doja that won all the over with Juicy. Juicy's Doja is not the same Doja on Woman, and that's not the same Doja on OK Loser. You know how there are method actors who embody the role that they're playing? I think Doja is basically a method artist. When she creates a project, she creates an entire world and environment around that music and immerses herself in that theme and that character. And she even expects her fans to do so as well.
Well, if you're gonna go to a concert of mine right now, if you come in like 80s garb, that's what I want. I want 80s, like full on, whatever you think, whatever the 80s makes you think. Sexy and 80s, or fun, or silly.
And that's why all Doja's projects feel so distinctive. Because when you think of hot pink Doja, you think of a specific dance, aesthetic, and sound that you couldn't escape. The same is true of Planet Her, except ramped up, because the poppy joy of that album and all the hype and success that came with it managed to permeate through the bleakness of a global pandemic. And Doja's not the only artist like that. Folk like The Weeknd, Beyonce, and even Megan Thee Stallion come to mind when I think of folk who transform for their projects, lean into alter egos, and love themselves a concept album. From Beyonce's alter ego Sasha Fierce and the way she transforms her look for her Renaissance era versus her Cowboy Carter era, to Megan Thee Stallion's Tina Snow, and The Weeknd considers The Weeknd himself an alter ego for his real self Abel. And there are levels to this because The Weeknd basically creates alter egos within alter egos because that man loves a concept album and creating a world to go with it. After Hours is particularly illustrative of when he does that successfully, and the movie he made to go along with Hurry Up Tomorrow is illustrative of when he doesn't get it right. But the point remains that Doja Cat is an artist of eras. And then, after she's truly cemented what that era is, she transforms it. I'm thinking about the hot pink era when Doja performed Say So so many times in so many places that she started completely transforming the song in her different performances. From a rock ballad to a 1920s flapper ass song. Doja went from this to this to this. And one thing about Doja, even if you miss and think that you weren't really fucking with a Doja song or project, she is going to perform that bitch in a way to give you a whole new appreciation for it. The project that comes to mind is her album Scarlet, because Doja created some controversy around how she decided to introduce her rap album and her alter ego Scarlet that came with it.
Scarlet, Doja Cat.
Look at me, you're looking. My taste good, but I just had to redirect my cooking.
In keeping with her desire to make Scarlet starkly different from her poppier hot pink and Planet Her eras, she replaced pink with red, pop vibes with satanic and demonic imagery, and traded in her wigs for a natural big chop that she bleached blonde. And it ate! But in addition to her white fan base being unable to appreciate her natural hair, Doja gave the album its biggest obstacle by asserting that it was her real rap album, and that her hits and widely beloved projects, Hot Pink and Planet Her, were cheap commercial cash grabs everyone liked because they like garbage. So, if you shit on your hits, which are considered the best in your catalog, and also shit on your fans for liking it, you set the bar very high for the album you claim is you making really good shit. Folk went into Scarlet ready to hate because Doja unintentionally or intentionally, who knows with Doja, set the bar very high. So there definitely were folk who were underwhelmed by Scarlet and Scarlet 2, feeling that it wasn't necessarily an outright departure from her poppier, more commercial sound that she shitted on, but leaned heavily on demonic and controversial imagery to give it the edginess the music didn't give it. Nevertheless, not only did Scarlet still give Doja huge hits like Paint the Town Red, which sampled Dionne Warwick's Walk On By, her performances of tracks like Demons really took them to another level. I say all that to say, the rollout for her latest and 5th studio album, V, and every appearance, performance, and look that's accompanied it has been no different. From the 80s themed music videos, aesthetic, sound, and style Doja has leaned into on and off the album to promote it. It's time to get into the album. The first thing you should know about V is this is Doja's 80s Lover Girl album. Your girl is in love. And not only is she in love, but my girl is in love at home listening to nothing but Prince, Michael Jackson, and Janet Jackson. And she takes some time to communicate that from the very beginning of this project to the very end of this project, which is in stark contrast from different eras of Doja that gave us tracks about the ain't shitness of like her track ain't shit.
Niggas ain't shit. Come up in your crib, all up in your fridge. Can't pay rent.
So instead of old fuck these Doja, the album opens up with the song Cards, which is a bop.
A little more back and forth, a little more catch and throw, baby. The more we can clear the smoke, a little further I'll go, and maybe in time we'll know, and maybe I'll fall in love, baby, and maybe we'll win some hearts. Gotta just play your cards, play your cards, play your cards.
Cards is also pretty representative of what you get on the rest of the album. Mostly Doja singing on the majority of the tracks, giving us 80s ballads and instrument solos before rapping on the tail end of the tracks.
Hey there, stranger. Take you where you want, you can say we're a stranger. If you play fair, stranger, it's all you can eat. Violate there, stranger. Girls turned on by danger. I'm turned on when he run that bank up. He's turned on when I fill this tank up. No bra, fresh beat, watch him scrunch his face up.
The next track is Jealous Type, which was the first track that Doja released as a single leading up to the album's release. And I loved it from the moment I heard it. And I loved it even more when Doja gave us the accompanying 80s visuals in the music video.
Never seen you cry. You're mine. Boy, let me know. Just can't decide. Could be diamonds into worlds that I just can't decide. Which one is it? I need to have it paradise. Baby, I can't hurt you, sure. Jealous, jealous, I'm jealous. Baby, I'm jealous. Baby, I'm jealous.
I also really like the music video for Jealous Type because it depicts singing Doja and rap Doja as two different people. Like rap Doja is featuring on singing Doja's tracks.
You must be almighty, cause y'all ain't geek up when we started up. You know she really was a friend like you said she was. I would have been locked in, but I called your bluff. No girl enjoys trying to tough it up for a party boy. Everyone wants you when you love all the noise.
I really like the visual depiction of them as two different people because that's how it feels the entire album. They feel like two different people, especially on the track All Mine, but we'll get to that later. Remember I told you Doja always uses her performances as an opportunity to embed you in the theme of the album? Well, her MTV performance of Jealous Type was no different. Check this out.
I've got something really special up my sleeve.
I think Prince's influence is all over the instruments, performance, and sound of Jealous Type, but Michael Jackson's influence jumps out to me on the next track, Amen, which to me sounds like it should be slowed down for a horror movie soundtrack. Very a la Thriller, and how Jordan Peele changed I Got 5 on it for the movie Us. You don't believe me? Aaron, put some scary ass imagery in the background while we play this song.
He's a fight to the death. He's a gun to my head.
And if I wasn't already sure that this track was giving scary shit, which I was 100% sure. But if I wasn't, Doja was sure to give me the heebie-jeebies when she performed it.
He's a fight to the death.
Scary as the track is, it's still kept to the lover girl theme of being down bad for a man. Nevertheless, I myself made the mistake of listening to that scary shit while I was hiking in the hood, so I will be skipping it from here on out. But do your big one, Jordan Peele. You know what to do with that. The next track is Couples Therapy. What I love about this track and Doja's singing on this album is that she's always sung, but her singing voice sounds a lot different than what she usually gives us, and I fuck with it the long way.
Can we both detangle ourselves? This argument's been in the oven. We can always be in control. Are you alone, babe? No one needs Sundays. Let the truth set you free. Baby, we need a couple's therapy.
Couples Therapy then rolls seamlessly into Gorgeous.
If there wasn't grilling before, they gon' be really mad when we hit the floor. It's a crime to be gorgeous.
Gorgeous is still a love song in some respects, but I think the song is more about self-love and Doja being a little bit vulnerable about rising above scrutiny and her insecurities.
Look at me, really look at me. Loaded the magazine, they throwing a book at me. I'm booking at 80 miles per hour cause my jewelry. I'm cooking some collard greens, I ain't got no room for these. Then I got surgery, cause of scrutiny. But he like my before and after pictures, he cool with these. I took off the wig and put some mousse on my new 4C. I put on the wig and take it off as I damn well please. I look like my family, I don't need to brag. Titty you sag, then she got some ass. Can't avoid the pap, can't even avoid the cash. Yeah, you beautiful baby, but you got more than that.
It's basically a self-love anthem complete with an interlude full of affirmations from Doja's own mother, who she features in the music video as well.
It's a crime.
Babe, I just called to tell you how much I love you and how amazingly beautiful that you are. Oh my God, how uplifting and inspiring you've been for me for all this time. And I love you and no one is freaking fine.
Doja also took Gorgeous to another level with her SNL performance of the song. If you watched my album review for Cardi B's Am I the Drama, you know that I love when artists take the sequencing of tracks on their album seriously. So I love that Gorgeous ends with what I assume is the sax, don't quote me on the instrument, but what I assume is the sax going crazy, and the track after it, Stranger, begins with the sax going crazy. Listen closely to the instrument coming in on the background on the end of Gorgeous. Now, listen to the instrument coming in the background of the beginning of Stranger. Yeah, I love that shit. So after the track Gorgeous, we get Stranger, which I think is one of the most talked about songs in the album because people speculate that it's about Doja's rumored boyfriend, Stranger Things actor Joseph Quinn, which seems plausible. But if it is about him, am I tripping or is she outing this bisexual? Or is he openly bi? I don't know, child. The internet wasn't giving me clear answers, so I ain't gonna speculate. I will put all that speculation to the side and we gonna focus on what I know for a fact, which is that this song should be in every bisexual playlist because she going up for them. Going up.
Girls can't tell that he fine on flip, cause he don't look like he like dip. But if he liked it, I'd still like him. As a freak, I can admit that he likes it. With each crowd we proud we don't fit, and ain't nobody here gets our shit. So if we split, it'll be like two halves. Ain't nobody in the world got what you have. My life, 'cause everything that is our lives connected, and I believe the witness once survived. You took to them on vacation, and God knows you could be a stranger to me. So kiss me like a mirror, I'm in like a queer. Nothing you do could freak me out.
It's a bop. This song is a bop. And my favorite part is the end, when the instruments just start going crazy by themselves. Again, very a la Kiss by Prince, when the last several minutes of the extended version of Kiss is just the instruments getting their solos. Love that shit. Remember I told y'all earlier I love how singing Doja and rapping Doja feel like two different bitches on this album? Well, that's especially so on All Mine, because singing Doja don't even sound like Doja to me on this track, and I love it. She totally transforms her voice on this track, in my opinion. I don't think I would have definitively known this was Doja if I heard this song in the wild. We go from this entirely different sound from Doja before she starts rapping and becoming herself again. The next track is Take Me Dancing, which features SZA, and uncoincidentally, makes a wanna dance. And there should come as no surprise to anybody, my bitch SZA was sliding on that track. The next track, Acts of Service, is definitely one of my favorite songs on the album because that's the kind of healthy love I can relate to at this point in my life. I'm at a place in my life where I relate very little. I relate to very little of the fuck these music or the loving fuck music. Not that I don't still enjoy it, but this is more relatable to me and mine.
Would it mean that I found my person? When the language is acts of service. Baby, how do I know for certain? Does a kitty have let me girlfriend? Would it mean that I found my person?
The next track is Lip Stain, which is a sexy ass song that make you want to put on some old school shades, low rise jeans, and dance like a white girl in the club in an early 2000s movie.
I don't wanna dance around it. Talking about our love is easy. Loving you is never secret. I know you know that
After that banger, we get Silly Fun.
Wouldn't it be fun if we went to a party? Wouldn't it be fun to float it to somebody? I know it could be a blast. We just pop out, baby. We're so very silly, getting married and maybe. Yeah. Wake up, smell the coffee, get a grip, boy. This life here ain't no vacation.
The next track, called One More Time, belongs on the soundtrack to a movie like the 2019 movie Someone Great. Y'all remember what Someone Great did for Lizzo with Truth Hurts?
I just took a DNA test, turns out I'm 100% that bitch. Even when I'm crying crazy, yeah, I got more problems, that's a human in me. Bling bling, and I solve them, that's the goddess in me. You could've had a bad bitch.
After One More Time, we get the song Happy. When the track Happy starts, unfortunately for that song, reminded me of the beginning of Sexual Healing, which I think causes me to like the song less than I would have because it gets me too hyped thinking I'm about to hear Sexual Healing. Listen, tell me if you hear what I mean. This is the beginning of Doja's song Happy. Now this is the beginning of Marvin Gaye's song Sexual Healing. Listen, I know y'all hear it. I ain't crazy. The song isn't bad at all, mind you, but I'm weird. That's just me. This shit is still very much so vibey. After Happy, we get the final track of the album, which is called Come Back. And it sounds like it was pulled right out of the 80s, but also like it could have been the final song playing in a feel-good Disney original movie while two interracial friends walked off into the sunset. Real 80s meets Circle of Life ass song. And you know what? Hell yeah. I tell you, One More Time needs to be on the soundtrack of a movie. Listen to it and picture it in some feel-good girls rom-com. Like imagine a group of white girls riding in the car singing this white girl style. Aaron, do your thing. Overall, I really like this album. It's a mostly no-skip album for me, with the exception of Amen. I saw some folk calling it boring or repetitive, and I did see that it's one of Doja's lowest performing opening weeks commercially, but I think that sometimes something isn't for everyone, and the public's failure to latch on to something either immediately or at all is not always indicative of whether a thing is good. And I think this album is a good example of that, because this is a good project. If you're not into the 80s sound, vibe, or aesthetic, you're not gonna fuck with it. You're just not. If you don't like singing Doja or love a girl Doja, you're not gonna fuck with it. If you looking for super turn up music, you're not gonna fuck with it. It's a very particular vibe that you gotta be in the mood for. However, I'm fucking with it. If I'm rating this album, I think it's an 8 or a 9. 7 at the worst. Stop what you're doing and listen up. You just watched a video on one of my channels, but the Illuminati verse is huge, and I want to tell you what everything is and how to find it. The Illuminati verse has 6 channels. On the YouTube homepage of any one of those channels, every single channel in the Illuminati verse is featured at the bottom of the page, so you can always easily find them. Okay, remember I said that. Don't say I ain't tell you how to find it. Subscribe to my main channel, Illuminati, to find my Illuminati productions, which are my long form video essays and also all of my backlog of content. Subscribe to my second love child, Illuminati Pop, for my weekly video essays analyzing my favorite TV and movie shows and characters. Illuminati Pop also has its own Patreon where you get all of those videos uncensored. Subscribe to my channel, Olay and Friends, for my podcast, Olay and Friends. New episodes of Olay and Friends come out every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe to Olay and Chill for new episodes of my podcast, Olay and Chill, every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And also, both Olay and Friends and Olay and Chill are both available on streaming platforms like Spotify. Subscribe to Illuminati Bites if you want my takes, but you don't have an hour to spend. Subscribe to Illuminati Politics for my political analysis and my State of the Union type addresses on my show O Squared. And last but not least, subscribe to my Substack Illuminati for my written work.